All right, we've got an amazing story for you. What? No, we don't. That was the amazing story. Paul Joseph Watson. Tim Pool, Eggnog, Sheila, and the Bhagwan were on Joe Rogan the other day. Let's get into it. Let's check this out right here, right now.
I mean, I'd be interested to hear your ideas around this, but
There he is. He's back, dressed up like me, kind of. But I look better. I wonder what Jack Dorsey is going to do for his beard for Christmas. He has all the trust and safety people come to decorate his beard. All right, this is really weird. So Joe Rogan had Jack Dorsey on a few weeks ago. It was the most disliked episode of Joe Rogan in the world. Everyone revolted. They thought Joe was a shill. Remember all that? So Jack Dorsey said he'd come back. He'd explain everything. And he brought his lawyer with him. Wait till you meet her. Here, we'll let them introduce themselves. 4, 3, 2.
Dos, uno.
Come on, Joe.
Come on, TriCaster.
No, come on, Joe.
Wow.
Live? Yes. All right. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. To my left, Tim Pool.
Yeah.
Everybody knows and loves him.
No, they actually don't. And even Tim Pool knows that that's not true. So right off the bat, stupid, idiotic, idiot Joe Rogan thinks that Tim Pool is like a national celebrity and the most trusted guy in media. This is a joke. I mean, Tim Pool is literally like one step above Alan J. Erickson. So watch this. Look at this. Tim Pool, who everybody knows and loves. And the Twitter people are like, who is this little kid with a mustache?
Ladies and gentlemen, to my left, Tim Pool. Everybody knows and loves him. Vija, what is it? How do I pronounce your last name?
Vijay
Vija, not
Whoa! Vija Gotti. Everybody hates her today. Public enemy. I went too far. Public enemy number one. Let me pause.
Knows and loves him. Vija, what is it? How do I pronounce your last name?
Vijay
Vija, not.
Wow. This is Jack Dorsey's lawyer. Okay. Head of the trust and safety team. I thought it was so funny. Somebody else said it, and I agree. They said, that's funny. So Jack Dorsey's on Joe Rogan. It doesn't go well. So he raises his hand and goes, any chance I could come back with my lawyer possibly to kind of smooth the... Wouldn't that be funny? Like, to bring a lawyer as a guest. You're booked as a guest on the show, and you bring your lawyer to answer all the questions. I mean, not even R. Kelly could do that on his Good Morning America appearance. Very fucking weird. I want to start doing that for my Hostbusters interview coming up. Yeah, you could interview me with my lawyer. Jules, you're my lawyer now.
Oh, fuck.
Okay. Here she is, and I call her Agnog Sheila because she really is the same as that Indian woman from Wild Wild Country. Do I still have that? I don't have that here. Wild Wild Country was the Netflix documentary. And yeah, lawyer. This is fun and natural. Yeah. It was a Netflix documentary about a cult here in America, but led by this guy named the Bhagwan and Agnog Sheila. They were an Indian cult. They did a bunch of weird stuff. And like this Indian woman, Sheila, was like the leader's right-hand man. And she was the power woman, you know, with the silver tongue, ready to clean things up. She's exactly like that. I don't know if India is pumping up power women. They do a placating smile with everything they say. Thank you for your question, Tim. And I'll answer that for you, Tim. It's like, why are you doing this? Cutthroat. She's cutthroat. And I love her, man. I'm so attracted to her right now and her power. And I love her. So I'm going to go the opposite route. Everybody, this is the number one enemy of the people today. Not here. Not here at Redbar. I think she's hot. I think she's rich. And I love her. And then finally, of course, Jack
Not
Dorsey.
Vija.
Yes.
Vija.
Gaddy.
And your position at Twitter is?
I lead trust and safety, legal, and public policy.
That's a
Ooh.
lot. That's a lot. And Jack Dorsey, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you, everybody.
Cutie. Looking cute. So they're probably like, why the fuck is Tim Pool here? Joe Rogan is so dumb that he actually thinks that Tim Pool is like the guy for this. That's crazy. But I will say this. I don't know if anyone could have done I don't want to use the word better because that's implying that Tim Pool is good. But I don't think Gad Sad could have done this. I I mean, maybe Jordan Peterson would be a better fit for this. More respected, of course, and not wearing a beanie and a hoodie. Although Jack Dorsey wears a hoodie, so who's to say anymore? But Gad Saad would have been awful at this. Gad Saad's actually pretty shitty at his job. I'm sorry. I know that is my grandpa, but Gad Saad's points are very thin and they don't hold strong. At least Tim Pool was putting in the effort. You got to give the baby a gold star for that, because Joe Rogan wouldn't have taken on the CEO of Twitter with the trust and safety team by himself.
He didn't let up on any of his points.
He did not let up, and he really tried to drill that shit home. Now, why did he do this? Well, he's trying to make a name for himself, or at least trying to not receive as much hate, although he is being dragged all over the internet today. It's actually quite a lot going down in this episode. It would take me about a month to fully break down, but overall, I do see this episode is kind of cool. In a way, I'll say that. I thought it was kind of cool that one of the biggest companies in the world is, as far as famous companies go, Twitter. You've got the CEO of Twitter having this discussion with Joe Rogan. Some of the names brought up in this 3.5-hour episode: Gavin McInnes, Anthony Cumia, Gad Saad,
Martina Markota.
Tim Pool, Martina Markota. It's like, why does the CEO of one of the most famous companies in the world know all my close personal friends? That's weird. So I kind of feel personally tied in a way where I shouldn't. I mean, years ago, the biggest companies in the world had no idea who my enemies were, right? The biggest companies in the world back in the day, that would be like if, like Tide, the makers of Tide knew Anthony Cumia, would blow your fucking mind. So these people know all my guys, and they were all mentioned on this show. I do think that's surreal. Yeah, look at Brandon Mueller. He says, that's surreal. Haha, this is a giant joke. And then I wonder, wait, what if we're all in a weird bubble and we think Twitter's the head of the world thing and we're in a tiny bubble, unispace, and we're all thinking that all these people are part of that? I don't know. I got a really bad headache right now. It's almost gone. But it's getting in the way of some of my intellect. So don't blame me. All right, so they've introduced everybody here today, and they're going to argue the censorship idea on Twitter. This is going to be unpopular with a lot of people. Now, I am permanently suspended from Twitter for doxing, or did I dox? We're going to learn today. We're going to find out if I did. So I'm one of the permanently suspended. I am not on the right. I am not a conservative. I am actually a giant hole in their story here. I'm a permanently suspended person who is not on the right.
100% innocent.
Yes. So, well, I'm saying their story, Tim Pool and these people are trying to, and I know this is confusing because Tim Pool is not a conservative either, but he stands up for free speech. But they're trying to paint this picture as they only ban conservatives. Well, they've banned me. And I simply am not conservative. I don't conserve a goddamn thing. So they're a little bit wrong there, but I will say this. What was my point? The amount of people being banned, like Joe Rogan's starting this conversation, and I will say this. He's wasting 3 hours and 25 minutes of Jack Dorsey's life here. I think we're forgetting how much more busy some people are than us. We're kind of taking this for granted. I listen to them talk, it almost seems rude that we're sitting here for 3.5 hours. They're sitting there wasting these people's times with this stuff, this censorship thing. Because I will say this, let's think, if you were the CEO of Twitter, I don't know if this issue even seems like it's that big of one to you if you're the CEO of Twitter. It seems like a big issue to us, like people who know Gavin McInnes and Alex Jones and Anthony Cumia, but outside of those circles, no one really gives a fuck. In fact, everybody on the other side wants more bannings and stuff like that. And I don't even think there are that many bannings, to be honest. But hold on, hear me out. There's no point here yet. We're just playing right now. We're just thinking things through. There's really not. I wish we had a solid number of how many people are banned out of all the people on fucking Twitter. It's really not that much. Now, their claim, I'm going to wrap this up for you really quickly. Their claim is that we do not censor ideas. We're banning people that are harassing people. Targeted harassment. They keep bringing this up over and over again. And this is tricky. It's tricky again. I'm not going to be one of these people that says, I know exactly what's happening here. I don't know what's happening here because none of us do unless we're sitting in these meetings with these people. We could assume that Jack Dorsey and Agnog Sheila are the devil because they're liberals, right? They're from Silicon Valley. And this is what our talkers have been telling us for the last 2 years. Evil, 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 evil. And I'm sure you have many examples as to why they're evil. But I came out of this episode still going, I kind of see both sides here. I kept flip-flop. Like with every rebuttal and everybody's point, I saw their side.
Seriously, same.
Okay? So it was very tough for me. I'm just being honest here. Don't get mad at me for this. Remember, I'm permanently suspended from Twitter. You're not. My job depends on stuff like that. Yours maybe doesn't. I should be very, very mad. But I'm not because I'm starting to think, and none of these people are smart enough to say it, or they're sneaky enough to not say it. I'm not sure yet, but isn't the bottom line that Twitter doesn't want to lose customers? So they're getting rid of people that are in the way of people that would lose them customers. You know, it's like me banning people from the Bring Back group that are terrible. You know what I mean? Nobody really gives me shit about that. I think big picture, Twitter is thinking, listen, we have this giant company here. We want to keep as many people on the platform as possible. And when you have these assholes who constantly are just harassing somebody over and over again, these people are complaining that we're seeing statistics that they're leaving. They're leaving the platform. And our big picture goal is to keep everybody here, because one day when somebody comes out with Twitter 2 or a new Twitter, we don't want everybody to run over there. Okay? I think that's their big picture goal. I don't know why they can't just say that. It's confusing because we seem to think that it has something to do with keeping people safe. It does not. It has to do with a couple things. Keeping everybody on the platform and not being in the headlines as the reason that somebody is hurt. All right, so for example, the reason that they don't have a rule that you can't make fun of people for being bald like they do Tim Pool. Now, Tim Pool is such a fucking fool. He could have said this a million times. Tim Pool could have had a great argument. Tim Pool gets harassed every minute of the day for being short and bald. Two things that he cannot help. Two things that he was born with that he cannot change. He gets harassed so much about that. Like way more than any trans person has ever been harassed. But they have this rule, right? Where you can't make fun of trans people. You're permanently banned. If you dead name a trans person, you're permanently banned, right? That's like calling them by their old name or pretending you're not going to follow their pronouns. Now, why do they have this rule? Let's think about it. Well, it's PR. It's PR. This is a company, okay? I want to let everybody know, you do not become Twitter unless you are a fucking ruthless business. And a ruthless business does not really give a fuck about trans people. But they definitely don't want a headline that says, trans person kills themselves from harassment on Twitter. They don't want that headline. They're just going to do anything to not get that headline. Okay? So what they're doing is they've read studies that trans people are offing themselves. Okay? Like 40% of trans people kill themselves. They know the bullying. They know that bullying trans people isn't why they kill themselves. Trans people kill themselves because they're cuckoo. It's the same reason that they're trans. Get it? But they know they'll be blamed for the death if the bullying takes place, and then trans people are likely to kill themselves. And they're also getting bullied. So when they kill themselves, the media is likely going to say, well, they killed themselves because they were being bullied. I'm terrified to look at the chat. They better all be on my side with all this.
There's Mike's right in there.
They better fucking be. So they know that it's not because of the bullying, but they don't want it to look like it was bullying on Twitter that caused a trans person to die. Now, the reason they don't ban people for calling Tim Pool bald is because there are no statistics that show being made fun of for being bald makes you kill yourself. Okay? That's never going to be in the news. You're never going to see an article in the news, bald man kills himself because people made fun of his height and his hair. So they don't care. That's why they don't care about some things, but they care about others. At least this is how I'm looking at it. Now, why am I looking at it so reasonably and nobody else can? That bothers me too. So I at the end of the day, I still don't know what's going on. But I will say this. I don't think they're any more evil than a business is evil. I almost don't think there's an ulterior agenda. I know that's going to make people really mad, but this is the information I have right now, and this is what I've come to the conclusion. That doesn't mean they're good. That doesn't mean I'm on the left. Okay? It just means that this is what seems to make sense to me the most. Okay? Tim Pool, though. Big faggot for not bringing up. That's a killer point. Why couldn't he put them on the spot and go, I get messages every day saying I'm a bald fuck. I'm short. Why aren't those people being banned? Those are things I can't change. He wouldn't say that because he's too vain to even admit those things, even though it would have been a killer fucking point. And a checkmate to Agnog Sheila. We know Tim Pool. We love Tim Pool. All right, let me show you some of the moments here. Proud Boys were brought up. A group that I helped make fun of. From its infancy, the Proud Boys were brought up on this show. And I'm
going to jump right off.
I have the clip. Tim Pool. And Tim Pool was being pretty cutthroat here, looking like fucking Mega Man with his red headphones. These are Joe Rogan's, by the way. Look at this. Sailor Twiff says, you're forgetting the part where Twitter, Facebook, and Google were all working with the Obama administration to further drive the cultural message of left-wing politics. Yeah. I could be missing that. I don't know. I'm just talking about people that are being banned.
But are they just doing that because of the media's pressure? It's like an endless
cycle. Doesn't it really all come down to the money at the end of the day?
What's going to make them the most money? If the media was mostly pushing conservative stuff,
then
Twitter
I think they would be conservative. So I think they're just going to go where the money is. And here's the other thing, too, about the left versus the right thing. This is what I think. I think the left are their best customers. So you might say, Mike, but if they're afraid of losing people, like you said, they ban people who harass because they don't want to lose people. Well, aren't they losing a bunch of people on the right that they're banning and stuff? Well, they're not, because none of you leave Twitter. Okay, that's the thing. So they know that. No one on the right is leaving Twitter out of protest. You're not strong enough. You don't have the will to do it, and you haven't done it. You still use Twitter, read Twitter, associate with Twitter. You give them money. So they don't see that, and I don't think the conservatives are their best customers. I think they know the left-wing journalists, this is their bar. This is their hangout. Twitter is where left-wing journalists hang, and they're better customers. So think of it as a bar. Think of it as a bar where, for years, 20 left-wing journalists all hang out at this bar after work every day. It's right down the street. And then Alex Jones comes in with a Proud Boy and starts causing trouble. They're going to kick him out because they're going to always pander to their best customer. Okay? Now, I don't have proof that they're their best customers, but I think they are. And I think the left-wing journalist circle is what they're afraid of losing, not because they're on the left, but because they're the best customer. Okay? If all the left-wing journalists say, we don't like it here, we want to move to another platform, then Twitter is out of that whole news cycle-esque thing that they've got going on. Right now, Twitter is the news, right? Because every fucking journalist, that's their hangout. So I think they know we don't want to lose that group. That group is what's running this thing, okay? As much as you hate that. All right, let's see. Tim Pool looking like Mega Man. Now, These headphones are screwed into his head today, these bright red headphones. His beanie glued on. He's not going to make that mistake again. I don't know if you guys caught this. There was a scene where Jack Dorsey tried to rip off his beanie to expose his bald head, but it wouldn't come off. And he actually held him up. He said, what the fuck? And he goes, not going to happen again. Tim Pool, the Destructicon, looking like a little fucking kid from South Park here today. So disgraceful to put this guy in front of these people from Twitter. Could you imagine what they must have thought when they came in and they go, Tim Pool, huh? And he is, this shows how stupid Joe Rogan is. All right, let's hear this. This is about the Proud Boys. Here we go.
Different train card here. Has law enforcement ever asked you to keep certain people on the platform even after they've violated your rules?
Not that I'm aware.
So then this, to the next question pertaining to bias, you have the issue of Antifa versus the Proud Boys and Patriot Prayer.
Shout out.
And Twitter permanently excised anyone associated with the Proud Boys.
It's so to me, it's amazing that these people that she knew them all. Lawyers are crazy, though. By the way, my lawyer. Shout outs. You'll tell. Here's lawyers are much smarter than us. I'm not saying they're better than us, but they are way. This is where you know that you're not on the same level. You think you are. Like I went through my whole life thinking I was just as smart as any lawyer, until I had to hire one. And I told my lawyer this long story with a ton of details. This motherfucker fired back. It was like he knew the story for the last 10 years. He knew it. Like immediately, he understood, and I'm like, this is gonna. I was so nervous. I'm like, this is gonna be so hard to explain to you all the ins and outs. And when I told him, he fired it back. He was saying all the names. Now he might have jotted them down, but to even just remember all that stuff, it was so impressive. How slick these guys are.
We love lawyers now.
We love lawyers. Attorneys at law respect. Someone says, yeah. Mike also has a half Asian lawyer. Never. Your lawyer has to be a serious white. It's the only way to get things done. Man, by the way.
Antifa accounts who have broken the rules repeatedly, branded known cells that have been involved in violence, all still active. Is there a reason?
Well, with the Proud Boys, what we were able to do was actually look at documentation and announcements that the leaders of that organization had made and their use of violence in the real world. So that was what we were focused on. And subsequent to our decision, I believe the FBI also designated them.
That's not true.
It's not true?
That's not true.
No.
Okay.
Wow.
No, it's not true. Oof. Yeah, the Proud Boys started out as a joke. Gavin McGinnis.
This is bad. So a lot of bad things going on. Here's what I think they were underprepared for Tim Pool. Okay.
I think so, too.
Because there were a couple they were kind of going tit for tat for a while. It's actually pretty...
Tim tired them out by the end.
Tim tired them out. And here's why Tim tired them out. I don't think a lawyer is used to doing a 3.5-hour podcast. And I didn't think she'd think anyone would have the nerve to talk to her like that. And Tim Pool fucking had some nerve, buddy. And I think it caught her off guard because his questions were rather rude. You know what I mean? Like most people in her society politen things up, even when they're being cutthroat. Tim was kind of fucking ruthless, and it did catch her off guard a little bit. And this isn't her environment. Just being in this room. Well, I shouldn't say that because Jack Dorsey's wearing a shittier hoodie than Rogan. So who even fucking knows anymore? When I was a kid, CEOs used to wear suits. They had giant cigars and giant fingers. Okay, their hands fucking huge. And they didn't tell you a dang thing, man. They would laugh at some punk ass people like us. What do they call them? Fat cats? What do they used to call those rich people in limos?
Yeah,
They come
fat
out.
cat.
Yeah. Today's CEOs are just wearing weird hoodies that you can't find at stores. All right, so check this out. Joe Rogan now is going to go to bat for the Proud Boys and totally tell the origin story a little cockeyed here. He leaves out a huge piece. This story all sounds so good on paper if I didn't exist. Isn't that funny that I am actually the missing link to this Gavin thing, this Proud Boys thing? The only way Gavin could get away with the Proud Boys are just a joke is if I don't exist. Other than that, people would believe it. Watch this. Watch Joe Rogan.
Okay.
No, that's not true. Yeah, you know, the Proud Boys started out as a joke. Gavin McInnes, Anthony Cumia, who was part of Opie and
Shout
Anthony,
out.
now has his own show, told me about it. It happened on his show because there was a guy that was on the show, and they made a joke about starting a gang based on him because he was a very effeminate guy, and they would call him the Proud Boys.
That is such a twisted version of how it happened. They made a joke about starting a gang. No, not
This
really.
is like if they were talking about R. Kelly, and then he was like, I just talked to R. Kelly. He said, why would he do that?
Exactly. Yes, 100%. It's like Joe believes whoever told him something last.
Exactly.
Whoever Joe got information from last is what he believes. It's really appalling almost. Now, the Proud Boys is a sticky situation. I understand. But to say it's just Joe Rogan fully believes that it's just a gag that people took seriously because they were pwned. Listen to this.
And they went into detail about how this thing became from a joke and saying that you could join the Proud Boys, and everyone was, you know, it was like being silly, to people joining it, and then it becoming this thing to fight Antifa, and then becoming infested with white nationalists.
Okay, wow, that's good though. Infested with white nationalists, which isn't even true. So now they're like, very confusing. Nobody is really telling the story right. I think I'm the only one who could really do the documentary on the Proud Boys.
You know
I'm
what
the only one who
never
knows the
gets-
real story behind them.
Seriously. But you know what never gets brought up is just how dumb everyone is. Like, why can't everyone say the Proud Boys got into this mess because every single one of them is dumb?
Is dumb. Yeah, that's the best point. They should just say everyone in the Proud Boys is like one of those weird kids from high school that would sit alone. They had a mustache in 8th grade. They're fucking weird.
I know.
You know those people that are just fucking weird?
Like, everyone is either an evil leftist
I
or
know,
an
like
evil
we're
white
forgetting
supremacist
all the fucking fat, weird, just losers.
that are just stupid.
Yeah,
and
that's
don't know what they're
all
doing.
it is. It's not people on the left. It's not people on the right. These are America's scum, parentless scum. Okay? America's mistakes. These are people that were born because their parents drank alcohol all throughout the pregnancy. Not on purpose, but because they didn't even know they were pregnant. Okay? And that's what you get. You get a Proud Boy out of that. Have you met a Proud Boy? They're fucking stupid. Here's how stupid they are. They don't even know how to deal with me. I say it clear as day. And they still like Redbar. They listen. They sign up for Scars Club. They're like, what would you call those people? They're like, over in Europe. Sven says that everybody in London was born out of incest.
Really?
Yeah, that makes them that way. You know, like the hills have eyes.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear some more. Come on, Joe.
I mean, this thing, well, in many ways it was, but it's been documented how it started and what it was, and misrepresented as to why it was started.
I think there's some things that should be clarified about them, but Gavin has made a bunch of statements that cross the line. He claims to be joking, and so that's
well, he did on my podcast. He was talking to me about Antifa, that when Antifa was blocking people like Ben Shapiro's speeches and things along those lines and stopping conservatives from speaking, you should just punch them in the face. We're going to have to start kicking people's asses.
Right.
And I was like, well, this is not just irresponsible, but foolish and short-sighted and just a dumb way to talk.
You know what? Jamie is so bad at switching cameras. Jamie only switches cameras when someone's speaking. But
I know.
Reaction shots of people listening are just as important, if not even more
important.
So you never see a reaction shot of when Joe and Tim do these long-winded, convoluted speeches about craziness.
The last,
You would think that they would cut to the fucking Agnog Sheila and she'd be like, this is so unprofessional, I can't believe I went to business school. Let's hear some more.
So then you have the Antifa groups that are engaging in the same thing. The famous bike lock basher incident where a guy showed up, hit seven people over there with a bike lock. They subsequently released his name. I'm going to leave that out for the time being. You have other groups like By Any Means Necessary. You have in Portland, for instance, there are specific branded factions. There's the tweet I mentioned earlier, where they doxed ICE agents and they said, do whatever inspires you with this information. And I mean, you're tagged in it a million times. I know you probably...
They docked the movie Ice Age? Light joke. He said ICE agents.
I can't see it. But you can actually see that some of the tweets in the thread are removed, but the main tweet itself from an anti-fascist account linking to a website straight up saying, like, here's
You can't see it here, but Tim Pool has a bunch of Cheerios that they've dumped out on the table that he's eating like this during the show. Okay? He's a baby.
Private home details, phone number, addresses of these law enforcement officers is not removed since September. So here's what you end up seeing is, again, to point, I think one of the big problems we have in this country is the media, because it was reported that the FBI designated Proud Boys an extremist group, but it was a misinterpretation based, a sheriff wrote a draft saying the FBI considers them to be extremists. The media then reported hearsay from the sheriff, and the FBI came out and said, no, we never meant to do that. That's not true.
How stupid is Joe Rogan for having these headphones in there? So, I mean, really, you've got these people. This is a rather important conversation here, and Tim Pool is wearing these bright red fucking headphones over a beanie. They do not know who he is. It's just so dumb. Like, these headphones, by the way, were given to Joe Rogan for free from the company that makes them. It's like Skull Candy or something. And he still has them around. It's rather obnoxious and inappropriate for this setting. I'm sorry. I mean, imagine being in, like, this was like a deposition almost. Imagine being in a professional deposition wearing something like this. You know, I wouldn't even wear this if I was a black kid on the bus, you know, headed to the ball game. Is that where black kids go? Or are they not allowed there?
We are just concerned about violence. So the Proud Boys all get purged. And again, I think, Gavin's a different story, right? If you want to go after the individuals who are associated with that group versus the guy who goes on his show and says outrageous things and goes on Joe's show. But then you have Antifa branded cells. Like, what I mean by that is they have specific names. They sell merchandise. And they're the ones showing up throwing mortar shells into crowds. They're the ones showing up with crowbars and bats and whacking people. I was in Boston, and there was a rally where conservatives were planning on putting on a rally. It was literally just like libertarians and conservatives. Antifa shows up with crowbars, bats, and balaclavas with weapons, threatening them. And so I have to wonder if these people are allowed to organize on your platform. Are you concerned about that? Why aren't they being banned when they violate the rules?
Yeah, absolutely. We're concerned about that. Has the FBI designated them as a domestic terrorist organization?
I'm sorry. Homeland Security in New Jersey has listed them under domestic terrorism.
Okay.
So here, I understand there's a conundrum in that the general concept of anti-fascism is a loose term that means you oppose fascism.
Right.
You know, but people who hang around with Louis J. Gomez in these circles, they shouldn't have a link to Homeland Security and all this. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's happening? It's really getting weird. You know? Homeland Security knows about all this stuff. Really? Do they know about me? I hope not. Very weird.
Antifa is now, they have a flag. They've had a flag since the Soviet, Nazi Germany and the Soviet era, and they brought it back. There are specific groups that I'm not going to mention by name that have specific names, and they sell merchandise. They've appeared in various news outlets. They've expressed their desire to use violence to suppress speech. Is it a
centralized organization the same way that I hear you on Proud Boys, but like where they have like tenants that are written out and there's a leader and like...
it's not the same, but there are specific branded cells. So that's why I bring them up specifically. I realize, someone showing up to a rally wearing a black hoodie and sunglasses, who are you going to ban? But there are groups that organize, specifically call for violence. They push the line as lightly as possible. They advocate sabotage and things like this. And, when the Proud Boys go out and get into fights, they're not getting in fights with themselves. They're, I should
point out that they decided to call for violence based on Antifa calling for violence. And based on Antifa actually actively committing violence against conservative people that were there to see different people speak.
I was like waiting this whole time for Jack Dorsey to just get up and go, enough! We just don't like you, okay? Take a hint! Losers! Come on, Sheila, we're out of here. I mean, come on. You're almost being like whiny now, with this conservative stuff. Like, stop. I was banned too. It feels wrong. It probably is. But move on. It's getting fucking gay. Seriously, to sit here and whine and whine and whine and whine and whine. Go over to your Gab. Go over to that new tool that came out, which is a giant checkmate on the whole world, by the way, that no one is talking about because journalists are afraid to even mention its name. Go over there and do that. And splinter off. They don't care about you, okay? They care about their consumer base. And even if you do buy from them, I don't think they like you. I think they look at you and go, ugh, look at these dirty guys. These dirtbags. I want to show you some more. That was rather boring, but I thought it was exciting. Let's see. There was a big goof up by Joe here. Joe is so stupid, he thought that Twitter had at least 100,000 employees solely to moderate tweets. Watch this one. This is from later in the episode.
Pretty public.
So essentially, this it highlights how insanely difficult it is to monitor all of these posts. And then what is the volume? Like, what are we dealing with? Like, how many posts do you guys get a day?
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of posts.
And how many human beings are manually reviewing any of these things?
I don't have that number.
Ooh, first of all, that's a red flag right there. That should be a highlighted moment for everybody. He goes, how many human beings review these numbers? And she goes, I don't have that number. She couldn't even give you a ballpark, not because she doesn't know, she doesn't want to. They're keeping that secret for some reason. But watch here. The reason I pulled this clip is watch what Joe thinks that they have.
A lot.
A lot. Thousands, hundreds of thousands. How many employees do you guys have?
We have
thousands, hundreds of thousands. Really? Hundreds of thousands of employees you thought Twitter had? What do you guys think the number is? Here, let's hear the real number.
We have 4,000 employees around the world.
That's it?
Yeah.
We have 4,000 employees. The reason
That's crazy though. But stop and think about that. 4,000 people that are monitoring hundreds of millions of tweets.
No,
we have
4,000 employees total. What an idiot. Why would this is like when the rich think like a can of Coke costs $26. Yeah. They're like, hey Joe, you're out of touch with the common man. How much do you think this can of Coke goes for? I don't know, nothing, like $36. No, 90 cents. You've lost your way. Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. That's so Rogan. That's so Rogan. 100,000 people working for the company.
That would
For
be
a
insane.
website. For a website. You know, it's not like a brick and mortar store that's all over the world. It's a website. 100,000 people on the payroll. That's fucking nuts. Yeah, wrench alert, wrench alert. If they had 100,000 employees, they wouldn't have time to podcast. Yeah, that would be insane. They'd be their own military.
we have a small team who's monitoring tweets, and some of them are employed by us. Some of them are contractors throughout the world.
So I can't even believe that. It's a really small team too. I don't know how they have time for it all. Something doesn't add up because they're like, everything goes into a queue. We have a very small team of like 10 people that do it, and they're located all over the world. It's like, what? I report enough stuff daily to bury that team in paperwork for at least a year. I'm just kidding, but I mean, come on, how are they possibly handling all those reports? Whenever I've been reported on Twitter, by the way, like I get in trouble instantly. So I wonder what my account looked like to them on the back end, because I would always get my punishments within 24 hours. Okay. And you would think
that means you were on the top of the list of most extreme cases.
That's what I don't get. Like, I know I'm not extreme. I wasn't doing anything shady in the background. I had no alt accounts. See, what they're talking about here is that most of the people they ban, it was rather embarrassing. Sargon of Akkad, it was rather embarrassing what he was banned for. You know, he pretends, they're banning me because I'm a conservative. They don't like conservative views. And then they read his stuff. It's like, no, you're being like a real creep, except for that first one. But they were also talking about how most of these people who get banned were people where they have multiple accounts that interact with each other as different people, impersonating different people to try to manipulate conversations. Did you hear that? I don't know if they're lying, using that as an excuse, but that's fucking sick. So when they're banning people, they're looking on that back end and they're going, oh my God, look, he has 3 other accounts that he pretends are other people and includes them in conversations he has to further his point. What a sicko. Yeah, we could ban him. You know, I don't have to feel bad about that. Get rid of him.
But then some of the reasons like they gave for banning Milo and stuff like that, you're like, they don't seem like a bannable
That's why
offense.
I said it's like, so tough to decide.
Thing they talked about, I kept flip-flopping back and forth.
I know, yeah, because then you look at Milo and they didn't really have any hard evidence as why he should get banned. unless, again, they have some information that we don't know. Now, they did claim that they don't read DMs. Joe Rogan grilled them on that. He said, he goes, does anyone have access to them? And she's like, I don't know. They definitely do. They're reading all the DMs. Okay. And I really think that's the part that they're not going to disclose because it's a huge privacy issue. So I will stand by that. I think the people who get permanently suspended, not me, I did doxing, remember, and doxing was their cardinal rule, although they have kind of amended that. We're going to play that in a second. Doxing is the one thing that will get you permanently banned without conversation, and that's what I was accused of. So, and I didn't appeal it, by the way. I think I wrote an email back to the email saying I was getting banned, and I never got anything back. I don't know if that's...
You got an email back saying, do not reply to this, or something like that.
But they can't say that they read your DMs because people would be outraged, and then they would stop using Twitter's DM service. You know, they wouldn't trust Twitter anymore, and their whole thing, what did he say at the end of the episode? Our biggest thing is getting people to trust us. So they can never, ever, ever, even if they do, they can never say that they read the DMs. You'd be appalled. You wouldn't trust Twitter ever. You wouldn't use Twitter to communicate if you knew they did that, because I'm sure your DMs are pretty fucking embarrassing.
And didn't it just come out that Facebook reads your DMs? And if they're doing it, everybody is.
Everyone's doing it. Trust me. They're not going to be like, oh, let's not. I mean, that's where all the juicy stuff is. So I truly believe, and I know these guys. I know the people that they say are banned are all people who have appeared on this screen as complete fucking fools. Kumia, Gavin, Jones, Milo. I mean, how many times have we caught Milo lying? And you forget about this, and you want to believe it's because they're conservative, but they're really bad people. You need to believe me on that. I mean, we sit here, we watch all the stuff they've done for years. Kumia is bad. Gavin is a liar. Alex Jones is a liar. Milo, a liar. Nothing to do with conservatism, by the way, or their politics. They're just lying bad guys. Now, those are the guys that are banned. Believe me, if you read their DMs, you would be appalled. You would be appalled. How do I know this? I mean, I know about the DMs that go back and forth between Gavin and Kumia. They're disgusting. So I'm wondering, I think that's the secret key. I think that's what makes it different. They read those DMs and they go, this guy is so sick, I'm not going to give two fucks about banishing him from my company. That's what I kind of think's happening, and I think they know they can't admit that. They're like, fuck, if we could just tell people we read the DMs, but then it'd be even worse for us. I think that's what's happening. Yeah, DM, I'm going to kill gays every day and see what happens. They're not reading the DMs until you're being reported. I think they use that to see. So they go to Sargon Avocado, he's been reported for 3 things, and they go, interesting one. Well, let's check his DMs. Let's find out what kind of person he is. And then they see, hey, don't tell anybody this, but I'm blah, blah, blah. And then they see he's got all these multiple accounts doing all this, and they're going, whoa, he's terrible. Get him out of here. I don't think they're reading DMs until they have to review an account for permanent suspension. But I do believe that they do take a look-see just to see. Now, did I have something queued up here? Oh, no, that was Joe Rogan thinking that there are hundreds of thousands. All right, we have a bit. I told you about this. I am kind of involved. I am one of the permanently suspended from Twitter, but I might have a road to redemption. Now, I'll tell you the story again. I was permanently suspended from Twitter while in a war with Anthony Cumia. Keith Maresca, Anthony Cumia's producer, Keith the cop from Compound, he started talking shit about me while I was in this war. Like some nonsense thing. So I did a very funny tweet. I was a baller fucking badass tweet. I go, hey, Keith, I'm trying to call you, but like it keeps going to the wrong number. Let me just make sure I have your number right. And then I put his phone number in there and I tweeted it out. Now, why did I do this? Did I all of a sudden become stupid and just decide to commit Twitter suicide? No. I looked into it. Keith's cell phone number, the idiot, they publicly listed Keith's cell phone number as the main business contact for Compound Media. It was all over Google and many different directories, Google Maps and such. I forget. But I figured, oh my God, I got the perfect thing. Keith's such an idiot. He doesn't realize he used his number as the public business number that's listed everywhere, so I can give out that number since it's public, but he'll think that he got doxxed and it'll be really funny, you know, and he'll be pissed off, but blah, blah, blah. It'll all be fine. And then, you know, furthermore, I go, you know, it's just the fucking phone number. It's nobody could harm him via the phone number, but instantly banned. No way of coming back. They consider that to be like harmful abuse. I call bullshit on that. Like knowing somebody's cell phone number is the exact same thing as knowing their email address. You could send 1 million emails to somebody. Is the fucking same thing as getting 1 million phone calls. Just ignore it. Block the number. You're good. It doesn't put somebody in harm's way. I guess you could make the case, oh, but if their cell phone is, you know, constantly jammed up, they're not going to be able to call 911 if they're in an emergency. I mean, come on, what the fuck?
That's what I was thinking when they were talking about the learn to code thing, and she was like, oh, it's coded language meaning this, but it's like you can just not look at Twitter for a couple days if you're being harassed, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what counts as harassment versus just like,
you know,
joking
and
on
ultimately my philosophy is this, to encourage this idea that people are getting harassed and that it's the worst thing that you could do.
Exactly.
When you permanently ban someone for lightly harassing someone, what you're telling the harassed person is, wow, what that guy did is one of the worst things in the world. You're a victim. And that makes harassment so powerful. The best thing you could do is every time someone reports someone for something like that, go, don't let it bother you. Let it roll off your back. It means nothing. And then give them examples of people that have been harassed and made it through and got through it and promote that. But obviously, that's not Twitter's business. Twitter's business is keeping you on the site. Okay? And they know that the people on the left are way more sensitive. They really won't use that site if they're being harassed. They're crazy. So he needs to keep them on there, okay? And those journalists. But yeah, my philosophy, of course, do the opposite. Make fun of people so much. I've proved this to be true. I showed you. We made fun of Patrick Melton. So nobody has been made fun of more than this in the world. We made fun of Patrick Melton so much that we can't even think of another thing to say. And he's fine, right? I mean, he's not fine like he's really overweight. He has an eye here and an eye there, and he's lost his whole show. But he's still alive. He's going to be okay. I mean, in theory, right? That's the message you should be teaching people. We've watched it. The words cannot hurt you. This used to be a slogan. Sticks and stains. Okay? They're doing the opposite, but again, it's motivated by the money. So it's a weird, twisted thing that's going on here. So, but I'm going to show you this. Jack Dorsey kind of says something that kind of is the opposite of what I got banned for. So he's going to clarify about public phone numbers here in this clip. I couldn't believe he said it. When he said it, everybody around the world was going, free Mike! Free Mike! What's this? Here he is. Jack Dorsey on doxing phone numbers.
Tell us it's happening.
But using an algorithm, though, do you not miss context? I mean, it seems to me that there's a lot of people that say things in humor, you know,
or slurs within particular communities, which is perfectly reasonable.
Right,
okay.
right.
So yes, there is a danger of the algorithms missing context, and that's why we really want to go carefully into
slurs within communities. So I mean, like if you're black and in the black community, you could be like, "What up, nigga?" But if you're white and say that, you could be reported for it. How do you know I'm not part of the black community? Interesting. Yeah. He didn't say slurs within races. He said within communities. You could be white and part of the black community. 8 Mile. Okay? So that's a good excuse. If you ever get kicked off for calling someone a faggot, by the way, just say, I'm part of the gay community. I go to the gay pride parade.
And how can they prove you're not?
How could they prove you're not part of the gay community? What would you have to do? Open someone's ass and eat from it? Just don't get it. We have no evidence that Milo Yiannopoulos is gay, by the way. Or any gay, for that matter, until I see the butt fucking, which you never see. You never actually see butt fucking, ever. Think about that. When's the last time you saw a gay butt fuck another gay outside of xxhamster.net? Seriously.
Never.
Never.
Not once.
So all
You
gays
got
are
me there.
liars. Photoshop yourself at gay pride. Yeah, here's me at gay pride. Why is he wearing headphones and in a completely different color tone? That's funny. And it's completely cut out poorly. That would be great. Mike is part of the black community. I would say so. I've spent a lot of money on Yezzles. The interview would have been way better if it ended with an N-bop fade out. All right, but he's going to talk about... But I thought that was interesting. I thought that's cool. They consider that within communities, but that's probably just another excuse, right? What is this? This tap house. Slurs tap house. Interesting. I don't know, man. I'm pretty good at looking into people's eyes and knowing right away if they're the worst person in the world or the best person in the world. And I've been looking into this dude's eyes for a long time, and I think we're overreacting a bit. I just do. This is what my gut tells me. And my gut's pretty good with people. I mean, I get them all right, like all the time with these guys. Kate Beckinsale, just today. But I don't know. It's not definite. So you don't even have to be mad at that idea. It's just an I don't know. All right, let's see some more.
Into this, and this is why we've scoped it down first and foremost to doxing.
No, see, they got it wrong. This guy goes, that guy has dead eyes. No, I was saying his eyes are fine, actually. He seems concerned. He seems rather concerned. You know, I'm pretty good at knowing a liar. And I don't really see that kind of liar here. I don't. I'll clarify that. I see a sad guy who's kind of bummed out that everybody hates Twitter. You know, look at him. This sucks. Thought everyone's gonna love the company. Fuck. Is it the nose ring? Wait, I have a nose ring? What the fuck? Why didn't you tell me that, Sheila? No wonder everyone hates the company.
We want to go carefully into this, and this is why we've scoped it down first and foremost to doxing.
Listen.
Which is at least first, it hits our number one goal, protecting physical safety. Like making sure that nothing done online will impact someone's physical safety offline on our platform, in this case. The second is that there are patterns around doxing that are much easier to see without having the context. There are exceptions, of course, because you could dox someone's public, a representative's public office phone number and email address, and the algorithm might catch that, not have the context that this is a U.S. representative, and this information is already public.
So essentially this just...
Wow, look at that. So if the information is already public, it is not a dox.
Wow.
However, I think their terms of service says they don't give a fuck about that. I think I looked into it, and it's like, whether it's public or private, because don't they consider, like, busting like saying, hey, this anonymous user, his real name is Mark. Don't they consider that doxing, too, in some circles?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if Twitter does, but that's, like, so gay. Like, chill the fuck out. I get the address part. Don't give out the address, although that, to me, is weird, too. Like, chill out. People aren't murderers, and there's never examples of a man was killed yesterday because his phone number was given out on Twitter. That's never happened. So I don't know why they're so worried about this. I think they've got it in their heads that it could potentially... This is what happens. A company sits down with lawyers and they go, what could potentially be disastrous for us? We have to make sure to protect those things immediately. Okay? And the lawyers say, well, if somebody's private information gets out and there's, let's say something happens to them, that makes the news. That could be a huge money loss for the company. So they go, okay, whatever we have to do to protect that, then let's just do that. And I don't think they're thinking about it much more than that, although they should. Again, it's so weird to me how everyone's work address is okay to give out. It's like Anthony Cumia's physical office is listed everywhere. Like, and he doesn't even care. So you could show up at Anthony Cumia's work, wait around the corner, and he comes out, you put a bag around him, put him in a truck. If they're not worried about where they are for 8 hours a day during the day, why are they worried about why? Because they sleep there. There's no security. There's no security at half these businesses anyway. It's like we know Dante Nero works at Verizon. We know where people work during this. So what does it matter? We got to get over this doxing thing. Like, I think we really need to get over it. It has not caused any harm. All right? I've been doxed multiple times. Here I am. No harm.
Like, it only causes harm if you consider getting a lot of messages harm, which they do. That's one of the main problems. That's what I was trying to say before.
They're saying, good idea, Mike, about putting Cumia in a bag. But you're also in Times Square. It's a little tougher. But, I mean, and his home address is out there. It's like nobody gives a fuck. And your cell phone number being burned is not, it's not going to hurt you. You know what I mean? There is literally no danger in your cell phone number being given out. Oh my God, this guy had to change his number and then update a few websites, contact info. Yikes, you ruined his life. That shouldn't be a bannable thing. Let's stop. It's not illegal to dox someone, right? So let's just stop it. I mean, maybe it could lead to more problems, but I mean, if you're an okay guy, getting doxxed shouldn't be harmful. You know, it's more about like, well, why do people want to come to your house? You know, like, let's talk about that. You know, I could give out my personal address right now and I'd be fine. You know why? Because people aren't that fucking nuts for the most part. They just don't. They're not coming to get me. They're not coming to kill me. And if they want to, they're going to get that info on their own. They don't wait like, oh, if his address was just leaked, I could get him. You know? So let's chill with the doxing. All right. So there was that. I should be back on Twitter. Mike, if you were allowed back on Twitter, if they came to you and said you were allowed, would you take the account back? An impulsive decision just to change the world. And I'm going to put it on the record here right now. And even if it's bad for my career or livelihood, no, I will not take the account back. And I will not be asking for it back out of protest to all this. Okay? There you have it. So if I ever do take it back, you play this, you go, he's a hypocrite, unsubscribe.
Wow.
Don't buy the merch. See that? You know, and I didn't even think twice about it. That was all impulsion. All right, I'm going to, some bonus footage. Tim Pool has got a new video out. Would you like to see Tim Pool's latest video? Here we go, folks. And I don't know about this one. I think he's loosened up on the hat rule, too.
Wow.
He's been taking his hat off more. So here it is. This is Tim Pool's latest video.
This. You're going to use this trip and you're going to face... I actually went into it thinking that I was going to face a lot of fears. So it's funny how I had the intention to face fears. I guess the trip gave me what I wanted. It showed me a lot of fear, but instead of facing it, I just ran from it.
He's cool.
Part of what I experienced that was so terrifying was... it was something like all of reality is an illusion,
Whoa.
and there's only one real entity, and that entity is me. And
this is weird.
when
Tim.
I die, for example, I'm just going to be stuck in this, what do they call it? In this like limbo state where it's just me and everything is me. The amount of loneliness that one can experience when everything is just them and there's nothing that's other, there's nothing that's
He's
different
getting weird.
is incredible. And I remember being stuck in this state and just looping in my mind around this state, saying like, okay, I'm still here. Shit. When is this going to end? When is this going to end? And my whole mindset wasn't to embrace this state of me being everything. It was to run away from it because I was afraid of the loneliness. But then things started to get even darker and darker. The more afraid I got of what I was experiencing, the darker the experience got. Now, I couldn't see with my eyes. It was as intense as smoking DMT.
About? Oh, worst trip explained. Healing a psychedelic crisis. Whoa, he's weird. Tell everyone he's a drug addict. We're not going to give that away. Don't give that away. Oh, wait. Very beautiful. And that is my take on the Joe Rogan. Tim Pool. Big thing. Good enough, right?
I liked it.
Good.